What is up, you guys? I'm Anthony Metro. Welcome to the video. Today I will be giving you my 2020 American League East predictions. Before I get started, if you like this video and you want to see more Major League Baseball content, be sure to subscribe right here. Also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Anthony Metro MLB. The Orioles had one of the worst records in all of baseball last year at 54-108. They have largely the same roster as last year's team minus Jonathan Scope. Unfortunately for the O's, they will be without their best player, Trey Mancini, at least to start the season, who is dealing with an undisclosed medical condition. Meanwhile, the Orioles are still paying Chris Davis $60 million through the 2022 season. The Orioles also feature one of the weakest rotations in all of baseball. They do have John Means, who showed some promise in his sophomore year last year, and veteran Alex Cobb. But after that, it gets ugly, featuring guys like Wade LeBlanc, Cole Stewart, Adrian Waj... this guy. And if it isn't one of those guys who already have terrible numbers, it'll be someone like Tommy Milone, who last I saw was getting shelled as a member of the New York Mets in 2017. Last year, the Orioles bullpen went through 31 relievers, and I'm guessing half of them were brought in just to keep Gleyber Torres from hitting a home run. One bright spot that the Orioles do have to look forward to is baseball's fourth overall prospect, Ryan Mountcastle. Mountcastle is currently blocked by Chris Davis at first base, but expect to see his debut here in 2020 either at first base or in the outfield. Outside of that, it should be another ugly year for the Orioles. The over-under for the Orioles in 2020 is 55.5. I'm going to bump them up a little bit. I'm going to give them those odds, and I'm going to say the Orioles go 56-106 in 2020. Sorry, Baltimore. At least you have the Ravens. The Toronto Blue Jays finished 67-95 in 2019. And much like last year, all focus will be on the continued development of Vlad Jr., Bo Bichette, and Cavan Biggio. The great news for the Blue Jays is that the best has yet to come for those three guys. The Jays should also see the debut of another top prospect this year, only in the form of a starting pitcher. Right-handed pitcher Nate Pearson is baseball's 8th overall prospect, and he should debut in 2020. The Jays will not make the playoffs in 2020, but they have positioned themselves to be a better team than they were in 2019. A full season from Vlad Jr., Cavan Biggio, and Bo Bichette will be very exciting alongside the debut of Nate Pearson. The current rotation features Hyun-Jin Ryu, Tanner Roark, and the oft-injured Matt Shoemaker, and unfortunately that just will not be enough to keep the team afloat. Add to that a poor bullpen whose lone bright spot is Ken Giles, and it's apparent that the Blue Jays' biggest need is pitching. The lineup will feature veterans like Randall Grichuk and Travis Shaw, who will look to rediscover his 2017-2018 self. And then behind the plate, you have Danny Jensen and Reese McGuire, who are both projected to hit below the Mendoza line this year. I guess it's better than below the waist, right, Reese? Overall, 2020 should be viewed as a building block for the Toronto Blue Jays. They could actually be buyers at the deadline, but with an eye toward the 2021 season, when they should be on the doorstep of wildcard contention. For those reasons, my prediction for the 2020 Blue Jays is a 75-87 record, 4th place in the American League East. The Red Sox went all in 2018 to win a World Series, and they accomplished that goal. However, now the Red Sox have to live with reality. Coming off of 2019, in which they went 84-78, the Sox are now without star right fielder Mookie Betts. The Sox actually did well in that trade, acquiring baseball's 44th overall prospect Jeter Downs along with Alex Verdugo. But as it stands today, the Red Sox are a weaker team after the trade of Mookie Betts. The Red Sox will also be without their best starting pitcher Chris Sale, who suffered from flu and pneumonia in the offseason. The offseason goal of new GM Chaim Bloom was to get the Red Sox under the 2020 luxury tax threshold, and they did, but at the cost of the 2020 season. Now, did the 2019 Red Sox play below projections? Yeah, they probably did, but now without Mookie Betts and Chris Sale, things don't look too promising for their 2020 playoff hopes. Honestly, I really wanted to keep things interesting, shake things up a little bit. That's the whole point of doing these projections, and I was pressed to put the Toronto Blue Jays ahead of the Red Sox. But the Red Sox still have a solid core in Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, Jackie Bradley Jr., Andrew Benintendi, and even JD Martinez. So as much as I wanted to make things interesting and put the Blue Jays ahead of the Red Sox, I couldn't do it with that core still intact. However, with an underwhelming offseason, the 2020 Red Sox will not have a successful year. My prediction for the 2020 Red Sox is an 85-77 record, just a one-game jump from 2019, 3rd place in the American League East. The Tampa Bay Rays won 96 games in 2019 and made the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. Then, as they so often do, the Rays shook up their entire roster. They traded Tommy Pham and watched Travis d'Arnaud Azavel Garcia, and Eric Sogard all leave in free agency. The Rays still feature 3 excellent starting pitchers atop their rotation in Charlie Morton, Blake Snell, and Tyler Glasnow. And it should only be cemented further with the debut of left-handed pitcher Brendan McKay. Last year, the Rays had the best bullpen ERA in all of baseball, and it should be a strength of this team again. The back end of that bullpen features 2 guys, Emilio Pagan and Nick Anderson, who have become shut-down relievers. Further, the Rays are a fundamental team. They play tremendous defense, particularly up the middle. In center field, they have the self-proclaimed best center fielder in baseball in Kevin Kiermaier. And behind the plate, they have newly added Mike Zunino. Yes, the Rays are always doubted for their interesting offseason moves, but they usually know something more than we do. And that's getting a sum greater than their apparent parts. Like I mentioned earlier, they always seem to be one step ahead of the MLB curve. They know when to move on from players, they know when to pick certain players, and they know how to put them into a perfect formula for the team. For those reasons, it is my belief the Rays will be contending for the wild card once again. They will finish 92-70, second place in the American League East. And of course, last but not least, my pick for the American League East, it should come as no surprise, the New York Yankees. In 2019, the Yankees managed to win 103 games despite a historic amount of injuries. Already early this spring, the Yankees have once again been bitten by the injury bug. First, they learned about James Paxton, who will miss the early part of the season with back discomfort. Then the Yankees got even worse news when they learned that Luis Severino would require Tommy John surgery. Then, as is the norm, Giancarlo Stanton strained his calf and has missed the early parts of spring training as well. But even worse was the news that Aaron Judge was still suffering from a lingering injury that dates back to last September. However, much like in 2019, the Yankees have the depth to make up for it. The delay to the start of the MLB season is a blessing for the Yankees as they can get some of these nagging injuries under control. The Yankees have undoubtedly positioned themselves as the American League and possibly World Series favorites with the addition of Garrett Cole. Before the Luis Severino injury, the Yankees were primed to have one of the top rotations in baseball. And even after Severino's injury, the Yankees should still have a very strong group. Deivi Garcia is ready to make his debut. He is baseball's 92nd overall prospect. In addition, the Yankees also have right-hander Clark Schmidt, who was the 16th overall pick in 2017. Despite the early injuries, the Yankees are too deep of a team and with too many bright young prospects on the way. In fact, the only team that can truly rival the Yankees in pound-for-pound talent are the Los Angeles Dodgers. Overall, I think this team overcomes the injuries once again and finishes the job this time, getting to the World Series. My prediction for the 2020 Yankees is an American League East crown with a 103-59 record.
And there you have it, guys. There are my 2020 American League East predictions. Everyone stays in this same spot from 2019, plus or minus a few wins. Be sure to check out the rest of the MLB 2020 predictions playlist. Coming up next, the American League Central.